I'd like to welcome Chris Crump from Comrex. Comrex has been a great supporter of this organization throughout the years, and they're serving as this year's Awards Luncheon sponsor. Chris, come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you're enjoying your lunch. Walking by, it smelled really good, so hopefully it'll stay down. Yes. No, I'm kidding. It does smell very good. Comrex is really a supporter of you because you're a supporter of us. We found a really good home in the Alliance for Community Media and all of your regional organizations as well. So we're really happy to be able to support your efforts, doing remote broadcasts out in the field, and we're always looking for new ideas and new ways to do that. So please come to us, talk to us if there's anything that we can help you do your jobs better. Thank you for allowing us to support this, and we look forward to doing this for many more years. Enjoy your lunch and enjoy the award ceremony, and congratulations to all the awardees today. Thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause for Comrex for helping us out today. At this time, I'd like to call up to the podium our President and CEO, Mike Wassenaar.
So it says I have to say, oh, hello. All right. Good afternoon. I have the privilege of introducing our first honorees of the day here at the awards luncheon, the winner of this year's Dirk George Stoney Award for Humanistic Communications. The award winners are Ann Tice and Tony Shawcross of Denver Open Media and Open Media Foundation in Colorado, who are innovative leaders in community media. Community-based media has been an intrinsic part of Ann's career and her life ever since she attended Antioch to become a documentary filmmaker some time ago. During her time at Antioch, she discovered the importance of media made by the community under the guidance of Chris Hill, Bob Devine, and Ann Boland, and learned that teaching people to express their voice was just as important as the documentation of that voice. Ann started her community media career at Manhattan Neighborhood Network as a production assistant and then became director of production and education at MNN. For the last 12 years, Ann has been a guiding force at the Open Media Foundation's community media effort with Denver Open Media and its user-driven tools that minimize staffing and operation costs to increase efficiency and impact. Youth media has also been a passion of hers, and she has mentored hundreds of youth both at MNN and at Denver Open Media over the last 20 years. She's also served on both the ACM West Board and on the ACM National Board. And I think we can officially announce that she's just accepted a position at Brooklyn Interactive Group this fall. As the founder and executive director of the Open Media Foundation, Tony Shawcross has launched dozens of initiatives aimed at democratizing the media for the purpose of shaping public awareness and having impact on public policy. Tony developed and launched a visionary model for community media that became Denver Open Media. Recent efforts include DOM's new community radio stations and a nationwide transparency service for streaming and archiving state and local video. This year, Tony was recognized with the Colorado Press Association's annual Friend of the First Amendment Award for his work as a passionate advocate for First Amendment rights, freedom of the press, and open government. I can tell you also, too, as someone who has worked with Tony over the years, it's been remarkable what DOM has able to do with the resources it has been given. And I think his work and the work of Ann exemplifies the need to do community media by any means necessary, if you will, to be able to empower people in the community regardless of the resources you find yourself with. And for that, we want to honor their work today. Ann was called away to tend to her family, and unfortunately she can't join us today. Nevertheless, please welcome Tony Shawcross to the stage, winner of the ACM 2019 Dirk George Stoney Award for Humanistic Communication.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anne hates like public speaking, hates the spotlight, and in 12 years of running 3 TV stations in Denver, she was on them like a total of 3 times. So it's not a coincidence that she's not here, but I do want to mention that her mother is in hospice right now, and Gretchen's passing around some cards and stuff for anybody who wants to just write a note to Anne and tell her that we miss her. I'm really happy she's going to be able to continue innovating and working at Brookline next month. Yeah, she sends her love. She sent me a text just a few minutes ago, and she's with her mom, which takes precedent over this. For those who don't know, the public access station in Denver, about 3 years ago, franchise authority shifted from city council to the mayor. A lot of turnover happened, and the new people were just kind of committed to public access moving internal to the city and county of Denver. We fought against that for over a year, got the vast majority of our city council to send letters saying they're supportive of a community organization like ours running public access, but the city ended up moving public access into the city and county building. They're now spending about triple or quadruple what they used to ever give us per year on public access, and by any metric, probably accomplishing about 1/10 and serving about 1/10 as many people. In the final days when we were finally realizing, okay, they're going to shut it down here, they're going to move it to the city. This was mid-December last year. A lot of community members came to us, and local bands and local creatives, and just said, like, let's do one last big protest. And Ann and I sat with them because we had meetings that overflow public support, and we just said, no, let's just do the last day or two as we broadcast, just doing the stuff we love doing. And so we signed up, just let people come and do whatever they wanted to do live, and broadcasted live for about 12 hours until they did actually pull the plug just after midnight on a Wednesday in December. And we just kept going for like another 5 or 6 hours and didn't stop until the sun came up the next morning. So I wanted to play a couple little clips. This is the only audience that would appreciate some of this stuff. So I wanted to play a couple clips from that, if we can get it to work, and the internet.
Shifted what I knew of the idea of community.
So just community members came and signed up and
continue to be part of this place.
Okay, we're getting
stage
down to the wire. I'm gonna cut you
Done.
off.
That's all I gotta say. That was fun.
But yeah, give it up for Anne too, everybody. Give it up for Anne. Anne. Okay, 10. Not.
All right, I'll spare you more of that, but. And then I should mention on Anne's very last day at DOM, she's not going to Brookline for another month, but she's taking some time off now. I went back to the station. We didn't have the public access channels, and we had been shifting so much of our stuff to radio because we do have these great radio stations in Denver. But she was still doing what I told her was the most public access show I'd ever seen her do in 12 years. So I wanted to show a little clip of that too. This is her last production. And this is like midnight on some Saturday night that Anne's in the studio letting some like community members do the most public access show they have ever done. So again, that thing's about to go viral. You guys can tweet that. Thank you. But thank you for the award. We appreciate it, and we're gonna still be around. And on Anne's behalf, I wanted to say thank you as well, and thank you to the ACM. Wait, someone take a picture.
Yeah, got it. I mean, we plaqued him twice here. Hold on. Wait. There you go.
Thanks, Frank.
And now I'd like to welcome to the stage Mitsuko Herrera from Montgomery County, Maryland, for our next award.
Well, good afternoon. I want to do a big shout out. I think having the awards on the Thursday and having a full room of people to see all the great things is a really nice innovation from ACM and the board. My name is Mitsuko Herrera. I am the director of the Ultra Montgomery program in Montgomery County, Maryland. I handle policy planning and special projects. And I am here. Opa, opa, opa. Well, I couldn't arrange for a drum roll, but you get a plate. So it's my pleasure to present you the recipient of the 2019 Jewel Ryan White Award for Cultural Diversity. And I want to take a moment, a prerogative, to say that I come from a county where we have been engaged in a new initiative to look at what a county is doing through a racial equity lens. I think a lot of communities are out there working on that. I think the ACM has been a leader in this area in looking at cultural diversity not as something sort of in addition, but as a way of inclusion and to bring us together. And so this award is annually given to those who show an outstanding contribution to a process that facilitates or creates culturally diverse or deliberate and intentional community involvement in the field of community media. And this year, the 2019 Jewel Ryan White Cultural Diversity Award recipient is Shannon G. So before we bring Shannon up, we're going to tell you a little bit about her. Shannon is the general manager of the Seattle Channel, the city of Seattle's award-winning municipal television station. And those of you who've ever been to the NATOA Awards know that they win a lot of awards. Shannon has worked as an independent documentary filmmaker and a freelance film critic, and as a producer at Seattle's PBS affiliate. During her nearly 15-year career affiliation with the Seattle Channel, Shannon has made outstanding contributions to its slate of culturally diverse productions, and in recent years has worked to engage youth and the community in the field of public media. Her current projects include a community documentary project chronicling an effort to reduce youth violence in a South Seattle neighborhood, and a town hall examining the legacy of racial segregation in Seattle's neighborhoods, presented in partnership with the local cultural arts organizations. So with that, would you please join me in giving a big round of applause and congratulating Shannon G., the recipient of this year's Jewel Ryan White Cultural Diversity Award.
Yeah, that live remote studio town hall is tomorrow night, so I need to get on a conference call in about 2 hours to do some production planning with that. Wow, it's so incredible to be here, and thank you for this acknowledgement. I'm really honored to be here and in your company. And I'm really inspired by the work and energy of the people around me and in this room. It's over a decade ago, I was fortunate enough to find that same environment at the Seattle Channel. It was a place that helped me find my voice and give expression to what I saw and experienced around me. And it gave me a really solid chance to engage with the communities in my city. So our organizations give us the space and opportunity to serve the public, tell the hyper-local stories, and show that the underserved and the often unheard or misheard are the historians, innovators, and experts in our community's narratives. Our organizations are our homes, and they are the places that can share the stories we know and want to know. They are the places to build and elevate our extended community families. It's something I don't take for granted, and I'm thankful for every day. And especially after seeing Tony's clips, you know, they really are our homes. And I applaud you all for the work you do and the homes you have built. So, thanks. I'll just take it. I'll just take the one with my name on it.
I don't see it. Not here. Not here.
I think we're over here. Right here, right here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
The Foundation of the Alliance for Community Media awards a scholarship each year to an individual who is currently enrolled in an undergraduate or graduate degree granting program in media arts, broadcast journalism, community and public service, government administration, public education administration, or teaching. This scholarship promotes the values of former Board of Directors Chair Brian Wilson, while providing financial assistance in the amount of $1,000. This year's recipient is a young man from Baltimore, Maryland, who has overcome a lot of personal struggles to be able to further his education. He has been working at Wide Angle Youth Media in Baltimore since 2016 while attending the University of Maryland, Baltimore College. He is unable to attend today in Portland, but he has sent us a video to share his thanks for being awarded this scholarship. I am honored to introduce to you the 2019 Brian Wilson Scholarship recipient, Deshaun Fortune.
I became interested in graphic design in 10th grade when I started learning graphic design at Baltimore Design School. It's important to me because graphic design is basically a backdoor into game design because a lot of the skills that I've learned in graphic design also apply to game design. Right now, I'm in a program called White Youth Media where I've been practicing graphic design for about 3 years now, and they've helped me get a lot better at what I do, and also helped me throughout applying to college to get to this point. This scholarship will help me further my education in graphic design at the Community College of Baltimore County, and then further my skills in game design at Maryland State College of Art. And really wouldn't be possible without this, so thank you.
I'd like to ask Monica Weitzel to come to the stage to introduce our Emerging Leader Award. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you. The Emerging Leader Award is our newest award, which recognizes a professional under 40 years of age working in the field of community media who demonstrates the values of building community through media on a consistent basis. Emerging leaders demonstrate leadership in the field on a local, regional, or national level. The award recognizes them for being a person who is innovative in their work to strengthen impact of community media. I am honored to recognize our 2019 recipient of the Emerging Leader Award, Seth Ring. Seth is a native Oregonian who earned his bachelor's degree in biological sciences and went on to earn a master's in science and natural history filmmaking at Montana State University. He was hired by Metro East as a media trainer and producer in 2014. Seth soon gained popularity in the Metro East community as a goofy guy with the silly phrases that we call Seth-isms, and somebody who would eat just about anything put in front of him. But it soon became apparent that Seth really knows his stuff. He's passionate about empowering people to tell their own stories. He has the ability to juggle different roles, such as training students in media skills while writing grants, developing curriculum, revamping Metro East's entire intern program, managing staff, mentoring youth, and more. It wasn't long before Seth was promoted to Director of Education and Volunteers. He was instrumental in setting up Metro East's Rockwood DIY location. DIY stands for Digital Inclusion and Youth, two areas of profound interest to Seth. His work in digital inclusion with immigrant and refugee communities in the Rockwood neighborhood has been amazingly well received. And it's really all thanks to the relationships and the trust built with the people in those communities. His work with local youth has literally changed lives. Seth is extremely supportive while inspiring and motivating youth to reach higher and be better. Seth is now a member of Metro East leadership team. He's also a new father, all of which means he now has even more to juggle, but he does it well. Yet he always strives to do more, learn more, and continue to make a difference while empowering and motivating others. That is what a leader does. Please join me in congratulating Seth Ring, the recipient of the ACM Emerging Leader Award. Congrats. One with me and then one without. Can you get one more just with him? Yeah, you hold that one alone.
So I just want to start by thanking you, Monica, actually. I would not be here if it weren't for her, literally. She nominated me for this award, and also, when I first applied at Metro East, I put the wrong phone number on my resume by 1 digit, and I don't know, like, somehow she was able to contact me and, like, correct that. But honestly, I would not be at Metro East if it weren't for Monica. I'd like to thank everybody else at Metro East, past, present, and some point future, for helping me get to this point. I think part of why I'm here is for my work at Rockwood DIY, Digital Inclusion and Youth. I think it's been probably some of the most profound work I've ever done. We work with immigrants, refugees, a lot of underserved communities to get them access to training, internet, and devices. And those are the three primary components of digital inclusion. We're actually doing a seminar on it tomorrow at 10:45. So if you want to come check out what we've done at Rockwood DIY, it's a good place to do it. But I actually, I wanted to talk about just a little bit about, you know, the future of community media. I know, like, everything's not certain, but I would say that, what we're doing at Rockwood DIY is not that different than what community media has been doing all along. So we do, like, classes where we teach people how to use a computer, or how to use the internet, or we do a smartphones for seniors classes where we help seniors work out how to use their phones. So I'm actually going to dip into a 1995 needs assessment from Metro East to kind of, like, hammer my point home. And here they say universal access, which I consider, you know, synonymous with digital inclusion. The definition of universal access must include access to both technology and training and/or assistance in the use of technology. Access to communications options and technology must be available to all people, including currently underserved populations and organizations. People wanted technology that enables interactive participation in public forums, electric town squares, and neighbor-to-neighbor two-way systems. So if you think of it, this is 1995. This is before Facebook. This is before Nextdoor. And these are all things that people were asking for back then. And I think that that is a good future for us. Digital inclusion is a very good future for us. And John wanted me to say a Sethism, so I hope you guys are enjoying your scrunch. That's food. I'm going to take it one deeper, though, John. If you guys remember in Batman, The Dark Knight, he talks about he needs to be what the people need to be for him, so he takes the hit for Harvey Dent. If you guys, everybody, I see a lot of heads shaking. Good, good. That's what I think we need to be is, you know, we need to be what the people need from us. That's within our bailiwick. So I hope that you can take something from that, and I just really appreciate you all for your support. Thanks.
I want more Sethisms. Can we have like a birds of a feather later on about that? Yeah, all right. Seth is one of 12 participants in the ACM Foundation's Emerging Leaders Institute, which kicked off this year. A two-day workshop that was meant to support the growth and the development of people in our field who are on the cusp of taking leadership positions, who find themselves maybe accidentally in the role of leaders, and who are considering their own leadership journey. The Institute was led by Paula Manley and Tony Tabora Roberts, who you see up there, and marks one of the first programs of the foundation as we are developing our new role of supporting and expanding the capacity of our field across the country. It could not have happened without the generosity of folks in the Alliance, of people in this room, and of, I think, one of the people you'll hear from in a moment or two who rode hundreds of miles to the Baltimore conference for leadership, believe it or not. Many people kickstarted this effort that goes back to last year's conference in Baltimore. I want to thank you all for your individual support of the foundation and ask you to consider a charitable gift to continue the work. We want to do this next year in Chicago or perhaps across the regions of the Alliance. So if you find pledge cards at your table or at the front desk, you actually will have information about that. Please consider it to be able to support the leaders that are in our communities that we want to grow and develop. So thank you so much. Now, with any further ado, I'd like to ask Matt Schuster to come to the stage to introduce the Buskey Leadership Award. Matt.
Hi, everyone. Let me start just by saying the person we're going to be awarding the Buskey Leadership Award to, when I started in community media many years ago now, and was a young person, and if we had Emerging Leader Award, I probably would have been eligible for it at that time at my age. Not anymore. There are certain people in the room whenever you came into a conference that you knew about, that you heard about quickly, and that rose above everyone else as a leader and you looked up to. And the person we're going to introduce next didn't just rise up because of his height and that he stood above many of the other people in the room. But the Buskey Leadership Award recognizes people who have demonstrated commitment to the mission and goals of the Alliance for Community Media, leadership within the organization over the last 3 years, and a high degree of involvement in the organization on all levels, national, regional, and at the chapter level, and continues in service to the Alliance for Community Media and its principles. When we look at Buskey leaders, it's no surprise that this next person is receiving this award. He's a humble leader, a quiet leader, but he's also a leader who got a group of us when we were on the national board, and he was our executive director, to walk blocks upon blocks in the frigid November in Minneapolis, saying it's just a few more blocks until we find food and or music. And about 6 blocks later, just a few more blocks till we find some food or music. And then about 6 more blocks later, or a couple miles, I'm not sure anymore at that point, a few more blocks till we find some food. And not one person turned around and went the other way. We just kept following this person onward until we finally got to our destination. And I think that's a perfect example of the type of leadership that Tony provides to this organization and to people. The 2019 recipient of the Buskey Leadership Award is Anthony Riddle. Yeah. As Tony comes up here, let me tell you a little bit about some of his background. He served in a variety of national leadership roles, including a lifelong association with public access. He's previously served as the executive director for 3 major market public access organizations: Atlanta's People Channel, Minneapolis Telecommunications Network, and Manhattan Neighborhood Network. He's represented the field many times in Washington, D.C., and he was the executive director of the Alliance for Community Media, later serving as the general manager for Pacifica Network's WBAI-FM in New York. As a consultant, Tony set up the Media's Justice Fund of the Funding Exchange. He's also served on an international advisory panel set up by President Carter to assist former Soviet states in establishing democratic media. He's currently the vice president of community media at Brick in Brooklyn. Join me in congratulating Tony Riddle again as the recipient of this year's Leadership Award. Just a minute, quick edit. He was recently promoted just last week to the senior vice president.
Well, thank you, and I'm very humbled and proud to receive this award. So, I'd first like to thank all the people who made it possible. I didn't know that it was happening earlier, and it's kind of a surprise. So. I'd also like to thank the previous speakers for being brief and leaving me a lot of time to ramble. In the thanks, I'd like to also thank Mike Wassner, who's been, very supportive and strong in his current position, and really appreciate all the work that he's doing, as well as the board of the Alliance. I'd like to thank my family for all of the time that they've let me come do this and be away for several decades, to come to something that I really like, which is this conference, and to do the work. That family also includes, oddly enough, Richard Turner and Michelle Turner, who allowed me to stay at their house for 3 years off and on when I was working for the Alliance, and I know that was a pain, but I appreciate it. I'd like to thank Atlanta People TV for hiring me as a playback operator in 1984. Minneapolis Telecommunications Network, who really taught me a lot about what it meant to run a place properly, and all the people in the Twin Cities who were kind to me and who helped me through all of that. I'd like to thank Manhattan Neighborhood Network, who first gave me an opportunity in the largest market in the country when I first moved to New York, and I learned, believe me, I learned a lot there. I'd like to thank Brick in general for giving me the second opportunity to come back after I'd done a few other things to try to apply those things that I'd learned in other places. I'd like to thank my father, who is an artist, who taught me that it's not just enough to do art, but that the art has to speak to the people and to the liberation of the people and the raising of people's consciousness. And I'd like to thank the Creator for giving me a way to earn my bread that was in line with principles, because not everybody gets that opportunity. So a lot of you know I like to ride a bike, 12 years old. So, last night I went up to the Rose Garden. It's not too far. I recommend it for people. It's really beautiful. Every kind of rose you can imagine. It's just a lush, beautiful place. But I actually like wildflowers more. And that's one of the things I've noticed, when I'm doing these longer rides between cities, is noticing all of the different kinds of wildflowers and all the changes in flowers that you see, the different patterns and so forth that take place. Everybody that knows me knows my favorite flower of all is the dandelion. Because I used to have to pull them up as a kid, but you look at how they spread incessantly everywhere, and when you see them in a large group, they're absolutely beautiful. You see one in your lawn, you go crazy, you spray it with Ready Roundup or something and pull it up. But when you see the whole group and you see how they are together and what they express, it's just a beautiful thing. You see all kinds of wildflowers when you're riding. You see different mixtures of wildflowers. You see, lavender across a certain area, but it'll have spots of yellow popping up through it. Or my current favorite right now is this, had to look it up because it's all over the roads in Oregon and Washington. It's the perennial pea vine, everlasting pea vine. It's a beautiful pinkish, sometimes it's pink, sometimes it's white, sometimes it's a dark pink, but it's just everywhere along the roadside. And it's almost as though somebody had to have planted it. But it's actually an expanding flower, and it likes rocky roadsides that are moist, so it's growing all along the roads everywhere. It can be 2 feet tall, but it can also be 7 feet tall if the stuff around it is too high. It just grows up higher than whatever is around it, so it gets enough light. And I just thought it's just an example of the kind of determination that we all need to have, and the kind of beauty that we need to have. It's in 46 of 50 states. The other thing that I've noticed is that, and I never noticed this as a city kid exactly, but you never see like a flower by itself. You always see flowers around the other flowers of its kind. You know, that when we plant our gardens, we often plant one bush, one rose bush or one set of geraniums or whatever. But when you look at it out in the country, you see these vast sprays of different kinds of flowers. And you see them all sort of mixing together in different patterns. The things I used to call weeds that are kind of like those long grass stalks that seem like they have wheat on top or something like that. When you see like tons of them, they're just like a soft backdrop for all these other colors. And it's really a beautiful thing. Another thing that I was reading when I was looking up the pea vine is that all these flowers and plants in general, they actually communicate with each other, and that they communicate through their roots. We don't see this because this is all underground and it takes place. We don't see that all their roots are mixed together, and that even with trees are actually aware, they found, of when there's a sick member in the community, and they actually share nutrition through the roots to the other trees. And this is something that, you just picture it's just a tree, individual tree, but you're really looking at an entire community of beings that are aware of each other and aware of the conditions, and that when they have something extra, they share it with the others. And I just want to say, that kind of communication is what I've gotten out of the Alliance for Community Media all of these years. That you all have been my roots, and that you have nurtured me when I needed it, and helped me understand what I was going through when I needed to have help. And that I just really appreciate it, that you're my community of flowers. So I thank everybody in the Alliance, and I hope that you all have energy to go forward. And, as they used to say, power to the people. And forward ever, backward never. We'll take this, and we'll meet again. Thank you.
Tony was so excited to give his speech, he left his plaque. Yeah, right. Pass it off right now. Let's give a round of applause once again to all our winners. As we wrap up, I just want to give an overview of the rest of the day today. There are 2 sets of workshops. Beginning, I believe, at 1:45 is the first set of our next workshops. So we've got some time to visit our vendors. Please do so. And we have another set of workshops later on at 4 o'clock. Later this evening at 6:30, we'll have our Hometown Media Awards reception. All the way up, 23rd floor in the Skyline Room is that reception. And then the award ceremony at 7:45 right back here. Back to our program for this afternoon. If you notice in your program under the schedule at a glance, You'll notice that at 1:45 today, there is a workshop that's entitled Producing Small Firms. That will be actually part of the Regional Chambers of Commerce meeting that's here next week. Our workshop is producing small films, and that is accurately displayed in the description. So please, if you're going to that, please show some support for Matt Sullivan, John Aiden, and Ivana Horvat, who are sponsoring that workshop at 1:45. So I just want you to thank you again for coming today. Thank you again to all the winners. Thank you to Comrex for our sponsorship of this awards luncheon, and we'll see you around. One other point, just a reminder again, tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 o'clock, right here, free breakfast involved. We'll be having our member meeting, an opportunity for you to hear about the state of our organization. So enjoy the day, and we'll see you tonight at Hometown.